Hi everybody, and thanks for joining us today. In this video segment, we're going to explore how to use the instructional resources that are available with Acuity as a group lesson that you can do on the smartboard or in a PowerPoint lesson, or in such a fashion that you can add it to your Sandite Classroom teacher page. Now, in order to do this, first I'm going to kind of recap how to get to the instructional resources. So make sure that you're logged into your Acuity account. And we're going to go to the left-hand side and pick the Instructional Resources menu. And at this point, we're not actually going to go in and assign an instructional resource to a student. We're just going to preview one. So click on Preview Print. Once the search criteria page loads, just go through and set up your filters. And I'm going to do this for mathematics. And on the types of activities, there are several types of activities that are available, and specifically for what I'm going to do, I'm just going to choose something like a tutorial or a brain pop movie. So I'm going to uncheck everything and then just click on those two options. And since we are doing something on the board in class as opposed to a printable activity, I'm going to choose online only. But keep in mind that there are several printable activities that you can print off PDF copies of and reproduce those and use them in class. Then on the standard, I'm going to choose Common Core Math, and then I'll go to the right and I'll choose a grade. Once you have all your search criteria set up, you click on the search button and it will load with any resources that are available given the criteria that you set up. Now you'll notice there's quite a few activities here. You can look at the details if you'd like, or you can click Preview to open that resource and play with it or use it to test it out. Keep in mind, since we are doing online only, the PDF preview and the answer keys are crossed out because those aren't available for online resources. And also keep in mind that at any time on the far right in this last column, you can click Assign to assign this resource to any child in your class. Now I'm going to choose one on adding two-digit numbers, and I'll just click Preview. And we'll wait for that to load. And here it is, it's popping up now. And we can kind of see a preview of what this would look like. And I'm going to press pause because I don't want that to play in the background while I'm talking. But if this were a resource that we would like to use, all we have to do is copy the URL address at the top by clicking and highlighting that address. Once it's highlighted, then you can right-click with your mouse and choose Copy to copy that web address. Now, the reason we're doing that is so that I don't have to go back to Acuity every single time I want to use this resource, and I don't have to go through the search criteria every single time. I'm copying that address so that I can just switch over to whatever program I'm using and paste that address into a document and save it. Now, in this first instance, we're going to use a Smart Notebook activity. I'm going to go ahead and pull that window back up with my resource, and I'm going to click and drag from the beginning of the address where we see this lock. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and I'm going to drag it over onto the page, because sometimes the right click and paste doesn't always work in documents, and in this case it didn't work for me. So just dragging and dropping that resource address straight onto the page works. Now, as you can see here, they've named it Acuity Instructional Resources. I could actually double click over that and rename it if I want to, adding two-digit numbers. And that way it's something easy that I can remember. Now you'll also notice there is a little globe here. If I click on the globe, it will open that page back up so that we can view it. And there's our resource playing right there. So if I were to save my notebook activity at this point and keep it for later, that resource is always there for me to use, and I can click on it during my lesson and add other pages in to do some practice on two-digit numbers, or I could use it as a bell ringer activity if I wanted to. Now that's one way to use those resources. I'm going to also jump over here to a PowerPoint, and I've got a PowerPoint open for mathematics, and I'm going to drag that over to my screen now. I've already got it set up to add the lesson in, got my little slide ready to go, and I'm just going to right click and paste that address in. Now again, That address is quite long and it's quite a lot to look at, so if I wanted to, I could do this a little bit differently. I could highlight all of that and just type 2-digit numbers activity, and I'm going to highlight that text and right-click on it and choose hyperlink. Now, anytime you highlight a piece of text and add a hyperlink to it, what you're doing is you are converting it so that when you click on it, it takes you directly to the web address that you connect to it. Now, here in this case, I need to make sure that I'm on existing file or web page, and I'll right-click and paste my address line here. I'll click OK, and you'll notice now my text has changed from a white font to sort of a purple or bluish font color, and it's now underlined. That means it is a hyperlinked piece of text. And what that does is whenever I'm in my PowerPoint slideshow and I move my mouse over that piece of text, you see that the pop-up shows the web address for that Acuity resource. And now if I click on it, it will open up a window on my web browser taking us straight into that activity so that we can use it in class as a bell ringer activity, like I said, or as a whole group instruction. Okay, so far we've looked at a couple of different ways that you can use this in Notebook and in PowerPoint. The third way that I'm going to show you is a little bit different in that we're going to put it on our Sandite Classroom page. Now, I'm already logged into my Sandite Classroom page, so I'm just going to go up here and click on my page. This is actually a course that I use for several demo videos like the one that we're doing now, and I'm just going to show you how to add that in there as a web link. Now, anytime you're using Sandite Classroom and you're logged into your page, you do have to click on the Turn Editing On button to bring up your tools so that you can add activities and resources. And I'm going to go down here to this Classroom Web Links section. I'm going to add this activity in there. Just by clicking on Add an Activity or Resource, it brings up a window where we can choose the type of resource that we're going to add. In this case, we're going to add a URL and click Add. The next window that pops up is our editing page. Now, like earlier where I changed the name to 2-digit numbers, I'm going to do that here, adding 2-digit numbers. The description section, you can actually just put NA in this spot, and as long as you keep this display description on course page unchecked, then no description will show up, but it does require a description to be entered in that field. And then I'll move down to the content section, and I'm going to right click and paste our Acuity web address in there. Now, if I'm using my web page to flip my classroom, I want this to open up in a separate window. So I'm going to click on the Appearance section and change the display type from automatic to in pop-up. And what that does is, rather than taking the student away from my teacher page, it stays on the page, but then it opens up a separate browser window to show the activity. When I'm finished, I can click Save and Return to Course. And if we go back to our Classroom Web Links section, here it is, adding 2-digit numbers. If I click on that link, we get our pop-up. It takes us to the Acuity Instructional Resource. We can make the window larger, and we can see that the activity is already started, and the student can watch that activity and learn how to use that resource. So if you ever have any questions about using the instructional resources available with Acuity, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email, and we'll see you next time.